LeBron James' team has never been as big an underdog as they are in this game tonight.
You could not have scripted a better start here for the Lakers.
SGA right around Smart, sees three, put it in anyway!
Austin Reeves continues to struggle offensively.
There goes SGA, Laravia for two.
McCain knocks down another three.
We just try to make people play outside their comfort zone. It's as simple as that.
All right, like OKC is starting to look inevitable. DraftKings Sportsbook has set the total number of losses for the Thunder at 4.5 for this entire postseason. Bear in mind, right now they're 5-0. The under is favored at -155, meaning they're telling you it's likelier that they don't lose 5 games than it is that they do. The Thunder are also plus 3,000 to go a perfect 16-0 for the entire playoffs. I'll point out that's something that no one has ever done. No team has won the championship in the relatively modern era of the NBA, where there have been multiple series like this without losing at least one game. So I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. Michael Wilbon, we'll start with you because obviously you're the Hall of Famer and you have seen it all. Do you think the Thunder break a sweat? Is there a team out there that is going to take the Thunder? I didn't think it was going to happen last year, and then they got pushed to 7 games in the second round, and they got pushed to 7 games, which I absolutely did not expect in the finals, by Indiana. So, like, this Lakers series doesn't look like it's going to be that difficult for them. Do you think that they're going to rampage through this thing?
Well, listen, I've been wrong already because the 2 teams I thought could challenge OKC, they're out. I thought if the Celtics get to the finals, they can certainly do it.
Right.
Just given the recent pedigree. And I thought Denver could do it. Both gone.
Right.
So who's standing? The Knicks can challenge. Yeah, the Knicks can challenge OKC, and so can Minnesota. You know, I mean, Minnesota could. I wonder about San Antonio once again for the same reason. Just not enough playoff experience. Could they challenge him? Of course they can challenge him. When you have a player as great as Victor Wembanyama and somebody like Stephon Castle, who in a year is going to be first team All-NBA or maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Challenge him. But OKC right now, and remember, they're missing their second best player.
Yep.
And they just rampage through the opposition right now. And, I'm having to revise.
They just replace one Jalen Williams with another Jalen Williams and just keep going
exactly.
on their business. I will remind everyone, for whatever it's worth, I know you know this, but maybe at home, like San Antonio beat up on OKC this year. Does that matter?
Yeah,
Does the fact that they beat up on them during the regular year, they beat them pretty soundly multiple times during this regular season. Styles make fights. Does that matter?
I do think it will matter. But if San Antonio gets past Minnesota, they're going to be worse for wear. And so that is the thing. Now we're talking about the team that has done it in terms of the paces and what is required to play basketball into late May and June versus the team that'll just be in the new territory.
I'm with you, Monica, but the NBA moves faster than ever, quicker than ever. 2 years ago, Oklahoma City was a #1 seed that lost in the second round, and then they won the title. And the year before that, 3 years prior, they were in the play-in. They went from play-in to second round to championship. There wasn't a whole lot of playoff pain. Maybe that is a path that San Antonio could be on. If you get out of this second round against this team and you get pushed, is that going to be enough playoff experience for you to say, man, we've been tested more than Oklahoma City's been tested in this? Oklahoma City's not going to be tested by the Lakers.
Don't look
this
like
is a warm-up.
But Oklahoma City knows how to get to test level without, you know what I mean? Like, to me, if they're not tested by the Lakers, they know how to turn it up when they get to the
I'm not saying that San Antonio is going to beat them in a 7-game series. Like, I think there's too many calluses, too much sweat equity for Oklahoma City. But I think to write it off to say that San Antonio, the 4 out of 5 games in the regular season doesn't matter, Victor Wembanyama owning Chet Holmgren does not matter. If there's a team built to beat Oklahoma City, it's San Antonio.
Yeah. We agree on that.
Well, in the same way that if you're smart, well, first of all, you're going to build around Wembanyama no matter what happens. But right now, if you're in the West, you're building teams to beat OKC in the same way that we talked about the Knicks being built to beat Boston. They don't wind up having to play them. Now, one of the things you're alluding to, that we're all sort of alluding to, is that playoff basketball is different from regular season basketball. And that brings us to the next topic, which is after the Cavaliers lose their game against the Pistons last night, Donovan Mitchell has 23 points in 35 minutes, only went to the free throw line one time. The Pistons had 35 foul shots. The Cavs had 16. Mitchell was frustrated after the game with the officiating and the difference in calls that each team was getting. I want you to hear what he said.
A friend of mine got fined for talking about flopping, so I'm not going to try to double down. But, I mean, like, I feel like that's what I got to do at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get downhill, trying to get to the bucket, and sometimes my people are in my way, and I'm trying to fight through contact, and I'm just not getting the calls. I don't know why. It's frustrating a little bit, but because I'm such a dynamic driver, right? Like, but I can't control that. So if I'm not going to call for me, I got to find a way to finish through that. But you know me, I'm never one to sit here and complain, and that's not why we lost the game tonight or whatever. But at some point in time, I feel like me getting to the basket's got to relate to something. You know what I'm saying?
So what do we think of that? There's a number of different angles that I can see going here, but I'm going to start with you, the esteemed Michael Wilbon. When you hear him after the game last night, what goes through your mind?
45 years worth of covering the playoffs and all, but you'd like to have somebody do it for you. You know, when you're the star player, you'd like to have somebody else do that.
Like your coach.
Like your coach. Or if there's a player, you know, in New York and Chicago, we saw like Charles Oakley would often be that guy, where the star player wouldn't have to do it. You know, you'd have an enforcer who did that. That player is like in the NHL. That player sort of disappeared now.
Right.
So the coach has to do it. And I thought Donovan walked the line pretty well there, where he said, okay, I'm not going to complain about it while complaining about it. But let's see how this is officiated. The other thing is, wow, we used to see wild swings in foul calls, one game to another in NBA series. And there were series at the beginning of this century that were embarrassing in the way these calls went from game to game. I remember a Sacramento Lakers series, which is famous for that. There's less of that now. There's more accountability, the officials to each other, to the league office. You know, I don't know that we're going to see a wild swing in foul calls, Greeny, tonight.
Here's why. Half of Cleveland's shots last night came from the three-point line.
Well,
you can't get to the line if you're shooting threes. And Donovan's point is different than Cleveland's point, right? Donovan got to the line 10 times a game. Last year during the playoffs, 9-game sample size. This year, 2.5 times a game.
You took it right from me. Because you know what would have made that case a lot stronger? If he could have pointed to that Toronto series and said, I was going to the line 6 times. Maybe not even the 9 from the regular season.
Yeah.
In the last 4 games of that series, 8 free throws total. So, like, this is not just an officiating thing. To the stat that we saw earlier, Donovan has not turned his playoff corner in the traditional way that we're used to seeing.
Because there's different officials in every single game, and they all have different sets of eyes.
Yeah.
If it's a one-game thing, you can say maybe that crew. But if in the micro, it could be one thing. The macro tells a different story.
But I want to bring up something because I think there's a bigger point here, and this is something that I don't think that everyone watching us will understand. But you said it in our meeting this morning, and I think it was interesting, and I want to hear Wilbon's reaction about how players feel about playoff basketball relative to regular season basketball.
I talked to a player last year, and he said to me, the regular season is like exhibition games. The playoff basketball is a completely different sport. And that's what you're seeing in the way it's officiated and the physicality of it.
Always has been.
We like watching it, but we don't have elbows in our necks as we're driving down the lane. I prefer this brand of basketball, mind you. And it prefers physical teams as opposed to other teams. But, yeah, I'm not surprised at this at all.
So, but the point that you're making is the players, they want to talk about postseason basketball. They don't really like playing postseason basketball. They're used to getting
more
those
than
calls.
others.
They're used
It's
to doing
hard.
that. My point
It's harder,
is,
physically
these are
more
things that
demanding.
get called during the regular season that don't get called now, and that might be one of the reasons you're hearing all of these players every single night. It's a different player saying, whether it was Jaylen Brown the other day, Devin Booker last week, whoever. I've lost track now. It feels like every other day there's another player talking
Greeny,
about the
there's a
officiating.
great tradition of this.
Right.
You know, there's so much more. First of all, everybody's got a podcast to complain about it.
That's true.
Oh, Wilbon.
Huh? No, I mean, guys, so we're going to go back again for a second to some of the greatest players ever. They had these same observations, I won't call them complaints, on off days. There's 6 people covering the playoffs. There's no social media.
Right.
Social media, I remember after a great Pistons Celtics series when there was controversy about Rodman and Bird and Isaiah. I remember Isaiah talking to like 6 or 8 people covering the whole series. He might talk for an hour about this. And the exchanges were different between media and players. But it was, you think Chuck Daly and Pat Riley and Phil Jackson weren't every bit as competitive and as combative as these coaches. Chris Finch remembers what they did. He might have studied some tape on that. Then you can go back to Red Auerbach. This is what happened. So now there's so many. Again, I go back to, Monica's going to kill me for that reference.
That's a good reference.
No, but I mean, everybody has a platform now to talk about this. It's fun for us to react to. We get to react to way more stuff than those players had to subject themselves to in previous decades.
Final word.
It's par for the course. I think the adage of they can't call them all, it seems to favor the team that is more physical. But most of the time, you just hear coaches and players say, however it's going to be, make it even on both sides. So get to the rim and flop it.
They ask for consistency, but consistency ends the night that the next referee crew begins.
Right.
That's what changes.
But, I mean, look, the reality is we'll all be watching to see how many foul calls Donovan Mitchell gets, and we'll all be watching to see